Confound this city! No one looks where they're going!
Yes, I've noticed that.
Bloody Drood! I'll never finish it at this rate. Only Providence knows where those words are headed now. Well, I must get to work replacing them. Should you ever be in the mood for a tale or two, you can always find me where the ale is warm and tempers are hot. Ta-ta!
What an odd man.
That Mr. Fry was Charles Dickens. Knows everyone and everything in the city. If I were you, I would keep that connection in your back pocket.
The aura of death surrounds thee both.
Get thee behind me!
Alas, these days, stupidity is all too prevalent. You know, I never asked your names when we last met.
I'm Evie Fry, and this is my brother Jacob.
Tell me, do you believe in ghosts?
Not particularly.
Yes.
I'm skeptical myself. Here we are, in the world's most advanced city. Yet its citizens are so enthralled to the supernatural, they leave themselves vulnerable to charlatans. Which is why I joined the Ghost Club. The first society in the world to look systematically at the phenomenon. Because truth, like a spirit, must be cajoled before it will reveal itself. Will you join us?
Sounds absolutely ridiculous. Why not?
It does sound intriguing.
Splendid. I have your first case. There's been some disturbing reports about a series of assaults in Lambeth. People claim they're being attacked by an age-old demon, Spring-Heeled Jack. The fiend is no doubt on the prowl as we speak. It's up to you to find him. You seem tired, friend. Everything all right?
No rest for the wicked, Charlie.
Today's Ghost Club investigation involves a carriage. It's said to be covered with gold leaf, dazzling passers-by when the sun shines. Naturally, it's rumored to be haunted. Now let's see if we can find it. You look as though you're just about to collapse. What on earth has happened?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
There's been a spate of rather intriguing thefts about town recently.
This one.
Robberies? In London? I never thought I'd see the day.
You don't
They look like common robberies at first, but these perpetrators have all claimed to have been under the influence of some supernatural power. I'm not so foolish as to forget that criminals will spin any yarn to avoid the law. However, these thieves all proffer the same defense. They say they were being controlled by a demon.
Which leg?
Will you make some inquiries?
Why, you can hardly
One
tell.
of our demon-possessed mobsmen is being held behind bars at this very moment. You may want to begin your search there. My goodness, what foul behavior.
What's going on? Where the devil am I?
You've been arrested for theft. How very intriguing.
I don't remember a damn thing.
Let's get you out of here. I've pulled a few strings, and they won't prosecute on account of your losing your mind. Be free, little chicken.
Well, Charlie, I suppose the Ghost Club holds some new horror for me today?
As a matter of fact, yes. Follow me. Number 50, Berkeley Square. 4 stories high and branded, "Beware all those who enter." There have been many strange tales of this dreadful domicile. The earliest report of a haunting was said to be the specter of a small girl who was murdered by a servant. She could be seen at the attic windows, weeping and wringing her little hands in an agony of despair. And Another legend claims the attic is haunted by the spirit of a young woman who purportedly threw herself from the top floor windows to escape her abusive uncle. Her screaming ghost has reportedly been sighted hanging from the window ledge. This residence was briefly owned by a Mr. James Jasper, a choir master and an opium addict. His nephew Edward was betrothed to one of Mr. Jasper's pupils, the fair and delicate Rose. However, Edward disappeared under mysterious circumstances, followed by Jasper himself. Perhaps grief sent him back to the soothing arms of his narcotic mistress. Though this house is vacant, some say it comes alive at night with screams of terror, ringing bells, and slamming shutters. Although eerie, this phenomenon is easily produced by pneumatic tubes and valves. There are claims that a young man was caged in the attic, his only connection to the rest of the world a tiny hole in the door. A young man who was reduced to madness by this extreme isolation. The legends all seem to focus on one room in particular. A sudden draft, nothing more. My word, perhaps I shall wait here while you investigate the source of that laughter, which is not at all unsettling. I've found a lock, but I haven't located the key.
Lucky for you, I've got it.
Ha! So this is how it works.
How disappointingly dull.
Alas, the myth has been discredited. There was no ghost in Berkeley Square, just a wretched soul, driven to murder and madness by guilt and intoxication. I think this is the makings of a rather fine novel. I wonder if I've got one left in me. Have you truly no recollection of the events that landed you in a cell?
Very clean.
I remember what the other victims remember.
Thank you.
A silver watch, the sound of a bell, and a sort of shadow.
Why, I can hardly tell.
A glint of silver and a tolling bell. Hey. I must say, you look very tired.
Oh, really?
I say, you gave me a terrible fright. Muttering about a man named Ezio.
Enzio Capelli. Not a demon, but a hypnotist.
And he's not even Italian.
I suspected hypnotism from the very start. You must find the villain. Thank goodness you're here. Impossible as it may sound, Spring-Heeled Jack has returned. We need to do something before the unthinkable happens.
I thought we'd already dealt with this nonsense.
There may be more to this than we originally thought. My dear friend, the Ghost Club has an extraordinary case for you. Spiritualist Thaddeus the Amazing has predicted his own death at his next séance. Could you have a look? Ah, my dear Darwin, do you think our young friend here, equipped with a multiplicity of talents, might be enough to ensure Mr. Hammond safe passage?
Who's Hammond when he's at home, then?
A mutual friend of ours. He arrives in London today.
From South Africa, no less.
Men in uniform.
Mr. Hammond is possessed of both tremendous wealth and charming innocence.
Which makes him rather attractive prey for some of our great city's less savory inhabitants. We fear he'll need a more robust escort than two old men might provide.
I'm not a coachman, you know.
We have already told him to expect you.
Which one?
His train should have arrived 10 minutes ago.
Well, then I suppose a friend of yours is a friend of mine.
I have a confession to make.
Splendid.
I love men in uniform.
Off you go.
So very...
And so all's well that ends well. Our young lovers are united at last and will soon marry.
No accounting for taste, I suppose.
And by the looks of you, they really hit it off.
I must say, it's all rather exciting. I do love these sorts of tales.
It all feels strangely familiar. I wonder why. We should drink to John Hammond and his unconventional idea of courtship.
Indeed. To John Hammond, our mutual friend. Well, thanks to you, the Ghost Club's reputation has grown tremendously. We are a beacon of reason in a world beguiled by superstition.
But I believe we have encountered one genuine spirit.
Can you be certain? That's the question. One might surmise that the spirits that haunt us are simply our deepest fears, manifested as apparitions.
Shame. I've always wanted to see a ghost. Or a goblin.
I propose a toast to the Ghost Club and the virtuous twins that have aided it, Miss Evie and Mr. Jacob. Cheers.
Cheers.